I'm going to be president of this country, whether you like it or not, and I will preside over the affairs of this country, including presiding over you. I think you must start adjusting to that reality. The sooner you do that, the less chest pains you'll have when that reality comes.
Julius Malema, son of the soil, sometimes misunderstood.
Julius, where he'll like say something really sensible and something that we all want to say, but at the end it's like, yeah, kill the bua, and it's like, no, dude.
And previously purported as a dumbass who has no brain or thinking capacity. But over the years, he's proved himself to be the man that is to be noticed, understood, and taken seriously. So this video is a mini case study where we look at the man's story just a bit, and then we expropriate without compensation 5 lessons that we can learn from him. Julius Malema is known for his oratory skills and is a South African politician and activist who is a member of parliament and the president and commander-in-chief of the EFF, the Economic Freedom Fighters, which is a South African political party which he co-founded in July 2013.
The EFF was formed in 2013.
He previously served as president of the ANC Youth League, in full being the African National Congress Youth League, from 2008 to 2012. He became a member of the ANC from the age of 9. That's why he's so radical, and that's why he's so ahead of his peers from a political viewpoint and perspective.
He must know that I'm not scared of him. No. And there's nothing that was starting which will not finish.
This is until his expulsion from the party in April 2012 at the age of 31. So they chewed him up and spat him out. Julius rose to prominence as a supporter of ANC president and later president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, 𝐷𝐿𝐿. He was described by both Zuma and the Premier of Limpopo Province, 𝐼𝐶𝐿 𝐴matlala, as the future leader of South Africa, which brings a bit of context and perspective into why at the beginning of this video I started it with him saying that he is going to be the president of South Africa, whether people like it or not.
I'm going to be president of this country, whether you like it or not.
Less favorable portraits paint him as a reckless populist with the potential to destabilize South Africa and to spark racial conflict. But I think, in the most part, he is misunderstood.
You know, my Lord, we're sitting here with pain, with trauma, and to be interrogated by people like this, who perpetuate the segregation, who continue to promote racism in this country. It's really unfair.
Let's take a short detour into his personal life. Julius Malema married his longtime girlfriend in a private ceremony under heavy security in his hometown 𝐶𝐸𝐻𝐻 in 2014. He has 3 sons in total, 1 from his previous relationship and 2 from within his marriage. On the 4th of May 2019, on the eve of the EFF's final rally ahead of the May 8 South African general elections, Malema's grandmother, 𝐼𝐶𝐸𝐿𝐿, who brought him up following the death of his mother, died after a short illness. This didn't sit well with him at all, but a soldier soldiers on.
I live a free life because I learned from my grandmother. She lived a very simple life. She never wanted anything complicated. I provide a leadership. Because some of you think by being a leader is to occupy an office. She had no office, but she was leadership.
Now back to his political journey. Malema was elected a chairman of the Youth League branch in 𝐶𝐸𝐻𝐻 and the regional chairman in 1995. In 1997, he became the chairman of the Congress of South African Students, COSAS, for the Limpopo province, and was elected as the national president of that organization in 2001. In 2002, Malema led a COSAS march by school pupils through Johannesburg, the march was marked by incidents of violence and unfortunately looting took place. His ascendancy to power within the ANC took place when Malema was elected as the president of the ANC Youth League in April 2008.
When he became ANC Youth League president, controversially beating 𝐷𝐿𝐿 at the league's national elective conference in Bloemfontein,
receiving a massive 1,833 votes to 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿's 1,696 votes. The election and the conference were characterized by intimidation and fraud, which Malema later described as unbecoming conduct. During the April 2009 presidential elections, Malema gathered support for Zuma, in which Malema said, "We are prepared to take up arms and kill for Zuma." His statement was condemned from politicians and South Africans alike, while opposition parties questioned why 𝐌𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐜 did not reprimand Malema. Malema was later re-elected unopposed for a second term on 17 June 2011 at 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿 Estate in Midrand, when 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿, the only opposing nominee, declined the nomination. Within his role as the ANC Youth League president, he achieved quite a lot. Malema campaigned enthusiastically for the ANC in the April 2009 elections. However, he was asked to leave Port Elizabeth's 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿 Hospital after the head of the hospital noticed him and 20 other ANC members campaigning in the wards. In an apparent effort to reach the new youth, Malema began visiting schools. These visits were criticized by Deputy President of South Africa and the ANC, Kgalema Motlanthe at the time, for being disruptive to education. In early 2010, Malema urged ANC Youth League members to join the South African National Defence Force and said that there were plans for the Youth League leadership to join their reservist program. The military training was confirmed in May 2010 and the naval training due to commence in September 2010. In March 2010, in what was widely held to be a rebuke of Malema, the ANC's National Executive Committee lashed out at the new culture of public feuds, insults and personal attacks and adopted a policy of disciplining those who became involved in public disputes with members of the governing ANC-SACP COSATU alliance. Malema's bid for a second term as Youth League president received a boost in 2010 when a number of Eastern Cape ANC Youth League regional conferences in the Eastern Cape elected candidates remained loyal to him, although there were some allegations of irregularities from Malema's opponents. In Malema's home province of Limpopo, a fiercely contested race for the Youth League presidency had been expected. The Limpopo meeting experienced vigorous discussion, on occasion degenerating into violence. Malema's rivals and journalists were reportedly ejected by police at the behest of Malema.
Listen, I'm going to give you 20 minutes.
No, I'm doing this. No. Me walking is unlawful.
No.
Me walking.
This is unlawful.
No. Walking. No, I'm going.
Why is it unlawful?
Why is it unlawful? Why are you stopping me?
Sorry.
Why are you stopping me?
Did you get permission? If you force your way, you're going to arrest me.
But I'm walking. Everyone's got permission here.
Stop pushing this guy. Mr. Malema, stop pushing this guy. Guys, we're going to arrest you. Just go. Please.
On the chain. On the chain.
The fallout. It's pretty nice to go and rise and win, but when it comes down, you fall flat on your feet. And Malema is no different. He's gone through the most, but he's been resilient despite it. Let's talk about his disciplinary proceedings that happened while he was in the ANC Youth League. On 18 April 2010, it was reported that Malema faced disciplinary procedures by the ANC for bringing it and the government into disrepute.
His charges included criticizing Zuma by drawing comparisons between his leadership and that of former President Mbeki,
after Zuma called a press conference reprimanding Malema,
pronouncing support for Robert Mugabe's ZANU-PF in Zimbabwe,
at a time when President Zuma was trying to broker a negotiated settlement in the country,
a public altercation with BBC journalist Jonah Fisher, and the singing of Debula Ibunu, despite an ANC order not to do so, following the death of AWB leader 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿.
Shoot to kill our, kiss the poor,
My Lord, the EFF cannot expropriate this song without compensation. It belongs to the struggle. It's a struggle song.
Malema faced a hostile disciplinary committee on 3 May 2010. On 11 May, Malema entered into a plea bargain and 3 of the charges against him were dropped. The attack of the BBC journalist, his endorsement of Mugabe, and his singing of Shoot the Boer after it was banned. He pleaded guilty to criticizing Zuma after Zuma publicly censored him and was ordered by the disciplinary committee to make a public apology for his conduct. Fined 10,000 Rand, which was to be donated to a youth development project, and to attend anger management classes. He was also warned of suspension from the ANC if he reoffended within 2 years. Malema complied, apologizing unconditionally, stating that he accepted that his conduct and public utterances should at all times reflect respect and restraint. But unfortunately, the downfall didn't end there. On 30 August 2011, Malema was subjected to a disciplinary hearing by the ANC. His supporters held a rally in the center of Johannesburg that turned into a violent confrontation.
Stations are, the decision to suspend, expel or merely rap Malema on the knuckles is touch and go. Have we seen the end of Malema? Or is this only the beginning?
Malema submitted an application to have all charges against him revoked. The ANC National Disciplinary Committee met on 31 August 2011 and 1 September to deliberate on this application. The ruling was delivered at 9 a.m. on 2 September 2011. The NEC dismissed Malema's application to have the charges squashed. On 10 November 2011, Malema was found guilty of contravening Rules 25.5c and 1 of the ANC Constitution. Convictions handed down by the National Disciplinary Committee to ANC Youth League leaders were upheld by an appeals committee on February 4, 2012. As a result, Malema was stripped of his title and party membership. The NDC was instructed by the National Disciplinary Committee of Appeal to hear evidence in mitigation and aggravation of sanction in the cases involving Floyd Shivambu, Sindiso Mahaka, and Malema. The ANC expelled Malema from the ANC and ordered him to step down as the president of the ANC Youth League.
ANC's National Executive Committee held its first full meeting since the expulsion of its leader, Julius Malema. And the NEC says it's 100% behind him and that he is still the League's leader.
We reaffirm they remain our leaders. We will continue to challenge the outcomes internally in the ANC until the National Conference in December.
This means the League is now officially backing the ANC's authority. It's proclaiming Julius Malema as its leader despite a lawful decision taken by the appeals panel of the ANC. This may force some of the ANC's top leaders to step in.
On 24 April 2012, the appeal process ended when the NDCA confirmed his expulsion with immediate effect. He's pleased to basically get back into the ANC just as an ordinary member, fell on deaf ears.
Julius Malema says politics is in his blood and his blood will always remain black, green and gold.
I doubt if the ANC of Jacob Zuma is black, green and gold. The most corrupt individuals continue to enjoy power and project others as the corrupt ones to protect their own corruption.
And so they say, the son of the soil was born during this period. In 2013, June, Malema began to canvass for his political party called the Economic Freedom Fighters. The South African President Jacob Zuma, at a meeting with the South African National Editors Forum, stated that the ruling party does not see this development as a threat. Boy, were they wrong. Look at the status quo now in 2022.
Now some senior party members are singing a different tune.
I feel the ANC has lost in Comrade Julius. The ANC will be better off with him inside the fold. So I'm going to do my best to request him to reconsider coming back home.
When prompted by journalists, the same sentiments from the ANC president.
We would love to have Julius Malema back in the ANC. He is still ANC down deep in his heart. So we would like to have those who are in the EFF back. in the ANC, because the ANC is their home. The ANC is the home of many political parties that splintered out of it, and we would like, obviously, to build unity.
Malema has a strong bond with Winnie Madikizela Mandela. She was the first person he visited when he was expelled.
One day, I will bring back my boy, Julius Malema.
Yes.
I'll bring him home to the ANC. And he is our child too.
I think the ANC is going to have to rely on people like us outside for its direction, because it's directionless. You cannot see people who are directionless doing what they are doing and then you go and join them. There is no direction. President Ramaphosa demonstrated with his reshuffle that there is no direction. He's got a lot of people to satisfy. The NDZ people, the ANC, the CR, the SACP, COSATU, and then White Monopoly Capital also has got its own people. So it's a concoction, and when you check all of them, they do not have the same, agenda. So why should I go back to contribute to such a confusion? If the question should be, what do you want to do, and whether what you want to do is not being done where you are? Because I think the same thing I will do in the ANC is what I'm doing now in the EFF. There's nothing that I want to do which requires of me to go and do it in the ANC. Otherwise, if I'm outside the ANC, I won't be able to do it. I'm doing everything. Actually, the leaving the ANC has actually contributed to our personal development. Today, we've got academic qualifications we didn't have when we were in the ANC, because we're preoccupied with nonsense. So now we're focused, we're dealing with issues of building society and developing ourselves at the same time. So the ANC is actually a mess. When you are in the ANC, you live a lie.
While still on trial for money laundering and racketeering charges, Malema started appealing for funds for the new political party.
He brushes off corruption allegations against him, saying they've not been tested in court. And he says if his ability to lead is being judged on that basis, then President Jacob Zuma and many other ANC leaders are not fit for office.
If people with allegations are not going to be voted into power, then President Zuma is not qualified also. He must also step aside.
Malema's visit to Nigerian prophet TB Joshua for spiritual blessings in August 2013 with some EFF members also elicited controversy and media attention. The EFF won 25 seats in the National Assembly in the 2014 general elections. I repeat, boy was Zuma wrong. Sholos, you were wrong. Malema was sworn in as a member of parliament on 21 May 2014. As a leader of the EFF, Malema has had a substantial impact on how the political landscape actually is and operates in this day and age.
I never said I won't answer the question. So I'm reading my speech. No one is going to tell me what to do at what time. I'm in charge. That's why these fools are running around here. I'm in charge.
On a point of order, Chair.
Order, Chairperson.
Point of order, Chairperson.
Order, Chairperson.
Point of order.
The ruling party by
Order,
strength
Chairperson.
of
Order. Chairperson.
Orders undermined.
Point of.
He has won the hearts of the masses. He has taken his chances and actually played it not safe, but radically into a direction where young people get to get positions early on. Young people get to make decisions with decision makers early on in their political career. Young people get to be members of parliament early on in their political careers, and young people get to engage with fresh ideas and solid mindsets, particularly to change and mold the overall political landscape in the country. So Julius Malema has showed his leadership throughout, and that's one of the lessons that you are about to find out about very soon. Let's listen to a few clips about people speaking their minds and what they actually think about the leader that is Julius Malema.
Julius Malema.
Oh,
Didn't
yes.
you watch?
Rockstar.
Didn't you
I
watch?
saw that. Very special show that we have this afternoon. We don't usually have guests at all on this show. I'm not saying this just because I'm trying to please you.
I think this, what Malema was doing could have been with the whole, like the TRC, the Truth and Reconciliation.
Gotcha.
He should have been there.
Yeah.
So this is in court.
Yeah.
That did a
Equality
mistake,
courts.
man. Like, giving him that platform, he's gonna share his political ideologies and his political ideas. They just gave him a super huge platform and he's using it so well and so smartly.
But yeah, shout out to Malema, yeah?
No, shout out to Malema, bro.
He says a lot of truth. Things that people don't want to hear, or
at times,
yes, at times people don't want to hear it. And the second that you say it, it's like you are the enemy now because you're telling the truth that we don't want to hear.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Being pro-black doesn't make you a racist, in the same way that being pro-women empowerment doesn't make you a feminist, or in the same way that being pro-wealth building doesn't make you anti the poor. The poor is us, particularly us with the black skin, right? And Julius Malema emphasizes that a lot. So when listening to the lessons that I have taken, expropriated without compensation, Mr. Malema, please do it with an open mind, just so that whatever you can extrapolate for yourself and apply and adapt in your life, hopefully it works for you as well. So let's jump straight into the first lesson. Lesson number 1 is consistency. Be consistent and remain unshaken.
So, solution, which is very clear in the hands of the EFF, is that we need the expropriation of land without compensation. And people say that is extreme, that is unacceptable. Land was taken through black genocide.
We have our policies, at least we know what we stand for. Unlike people who are asked, what is your position on land? What is your land policy? We support land reinstitution, policy, not what you support. The EFF land policies expropriation without compensation.
When it comes to what you are pursuing, your vision, remain unshaken. Be consistent. Looking at Julius Malema, you can trace back his journey, his fight for the land, his belief in the black people, his belief in all that is good about our skin color.
You're thinking very low of black people. Must be ashamed of yourself. Be ashamed of yourself. How can our people celebrate death? Our people have never done that.
That is what you should aim to do. Be the Julius Malema of your realm, of your world, of your profession, and of basically the shaping of the world that you want to achieve. Being consistent means being so unshaken by the situation that you continue to drive forward no matter the circumstances. Julius Malema was expelled from the ANC Youth League as the president, but he continued his mission through now creating a different avenue, all with the aim of reaching the same result. So even though the obstacles will be there, right there in front of you, pave a way through those obstacles. Try your best to find something different, a route that will still get you to that destination. Remain unshaken, because the overall objective and the main goal should remain the main goal no matter the circumstances. So it's a challenge to you and I, that no matter what we are facing, be like Julius Malema, remain unshaken, be consistent, and throughout your life's journey, maintain it overall throughout that entire process. Lesson number 2, take care of yourself. Your health is truly your wealth. Julius Malema, back in the day, in the days of the ANC Youth League, he was relatively overweight. Some might say even obese. But look at him now. Years later, at a much older Julius Malema, a more matured Julius Malema, a more determined and defined and more precise when he takes his shot type of Julius Malema. He's now in a different area of his life, because when you take care of your body, when you look good, you feel good, you're able to think in a way that clarity is key. You define your path much easier. You think much easier. You last longer in meetings. You last longer in conferences. You apply your mind far more better than your peers, because you are in peak condition. You are conditioned to excel. And that's what happens when you take care of yourself. So Julius Malema didn't take that lightly. right? He did away with the intake of some of the sugars. He made sure that he exercises more. He makes sure that he preserves himself and takes care of his body. The key element is that you need to live long enough for your vision to come to fruition.
We will rather die for a dream that is going to be realized by many generations after us. Even if we don't realize it ourselves, we've made a commitment to lay a firm foundation for generations to come. We seek to inspire confidence amongst many, many, many African masses that they must stand on their own.
So if you don't take care of your health, if you succumb to ailments and other health-related dangers, then you may not see your vision to fruition. So take care of yourself, take care of your body, exercise, eat well, meditate, spend time with yourself once in a while so that even your mental health is key and that your mental health leads you forward no matter the challenges that you may face. It's just so that you don't succumb to them, because we live in a life and time where things are very difficult. With the recent passing of 𝐷𝐿𝐷, Julius Malema was one of the very few politicians that actually sent their condolences through social media, and given the fact that they have somewhat of a relationship with those that were close to the likes of 𝐷𝐿𝐷, then it shows that there's a certain compassion aspect that relates to Julius Malema having for the youth and for the black child, for the black people of South Africa, and for the population at large. And we need to stand up and do our best to be the best that we can be. And we do that through living a healthy life and following a healthy lifestyle. Lesson number 3, lift as you rise. If you've been a fan of this page, then you know that it's a resounding theme, right? Every case study where there are lessons to be drawn or taken away, I have put in this element of lifting as you rise. To put it better into context or perspective when it comes to now the Julius Malema case study, then we look at the fact that in order to rise quicker to the top, you need people that will share in your vision. Malema wasn't expelled alone. He was expelled along with Floyd Shivambu and others. And today, Floyd Shivambu is the deputy. They stay on each other's side, building each other up and making sure that the common vision that they had from the outset gets achieved. Because they are pulling each other, one person's weakness may be another person's strength. So as you go up, for you to move up quicker, faster, and with such extreme excitement, and to actually change and maneuver in such a way that the difference is actually seen through you, you will need people by your side. You will need people that will walk with you, move with you, people that will share the vision with you. You will need to rope in people that will have brilliant minds. And what better way than a political party with a vision that is there to uplift the black child, showing the black child that it is possible. There's no better vision than that. So when you come up, you draw others with you. And having such a bigger vision means that you are able now to exploit other people's gifts, not only for your benefit alone, but for theirs as well. And that's why the EFF is the only current growing party at the rate that it's growing.
We are a clean party.
Then you would be able to say this region,
we are a clean party.
Guys.
We have never been found guilty of any wrongdoing, not mentioned in any report.
However, though, constantly it's your name as well as the party's name in this case that's being tarnished. Yet you don't find it in yourself to go and challenge what is bringing the party down.
No, there's nothing bringing party down. Which party is going down?
Then why are we
this party is
here?
always... No, we're dealing with allegations. You asked people about me in my absence, and I said, I'm available, ask me. So I'm saying to you that there's no party that is going down.
Because it's bringing young people, bringing young minds, brilliant minds, to make and shift people's mindsets and to make black people believe in themselves. So when Juju rises, then as the black child, as a black person, you too shall rise. You too shall succeed. You too shall believe that it's possible, no matter the area in which you work, no matter the sector in which you work, whether you were suppressed in the past. If you have people backing your vision, then you shall go far. Another aspect of lifting as you rise speaks to going to the ground and basically looking at the people's problems, making sure that your message and your solutions and what you're trying to drive actually speaks to the people's problems. The EFF is forever on the ground. When a topic is trending, a negative topic that affects the black child, which colors do you see first from any political party? It will always be the guys in the red berets. It will always be the case, because lifting as you rise doesn't only speak to career and an avenue of prospering through wealth, but it speaks to lifting the communities around you. And Julius Malema has been consistent when it comes to the message that he shares and portrays and speaks to the people at large. So lift as you rise, and then you shall go far and you shall prosper. Lesson number 4, be a leader. Show logical thinking. Lead from the front. If you've read The Art of War, then you know that is exactly what a leader does. A leader leads from the front. They face the battle head on for them to win the war. And Juju is no exception.
You're not putting your supporters' lives at risk by saying that?
No, I'm putting my life at risk. There's no supporter who will go. I will go myself. I've always led from the front. There's no way where EFF supporters have been and I've not been there. I believe in this. I will do it myself.
As a leader, he's been at the forefront of every EFF fight. He's been at the forefront of every black child's fight, of every black person's fight. He's been there to represent us because he resonates with our struggles. And that's what a leader does. When you get to the top as a leader, you can't forget where you come from.
Because my grandmother always said, if she always emphasized that. And let me tell you, she has never been wrong, because if you ask anyone to do anything, that's my experience all the time. It doesn't matter who, in the family, outside family, in the EFF. If you ask anyone to do anything, it will never be perfected the way you have imagined it, because they are not in your mind. So you want to perfect it, it's because you saw it before, you played it in your mind. You must do it yourself.
So Juju exploits the fact that he knows our disadvantages.
We are still a traumatized nation, if you don't know, and that trauma is real. You know, my Lord, we're sitting here with pain, with trauma. Because this thing of the land is very simple, comrades. You just go into a village and look at how many families are there sharing 5 to 10 hectares called their settlement. 10 hectares. And then you go next to them. You find one Afrikaner family owning 1,000 to 2,000 hectares alone. And the village is constituted by more than 2,000 families. They are sharing 10 hectares. One family of an Afrikaner owns 2,000 hectares. And they only use 200 hectares of the 2,000 hectares they are owning.
And he wants us to move up, be equal to those who think that they are better than us.
We're fighting for equality in our country. We do not want to replace white supremacy with black supremacy. We want to create a society where all of us exist as human beings and not as white and black. We want to restore the dignity of the African continent and position Africa as an equal partner in the world economy and international politics. We want Africa to be like Europe. We don't want Europe to treat Africa like it is its own subject. Africa's time is now.
A leader is someone who knows the principles and lessons that they've taken throughout their journey for them to be where they are on that specific position, in that sector, the political arena. Put him in any room, he's there.
Municipal managers, mayors, and some politicians in the ANC. I want to tell you now that if there is any municipality that can say, we put money into the VBS because Malema said we must do that, I will resign all the positions of the EFF without any hesitation.
Mr. Malema, stop deflecting.
I'm not deflecting, unless you don't know the concept of deflecting.
Wait. This can't be your show.
Then say it in suit.
It can't be your show. We need to, let's engage.
It's my show. I'm
No,
the
it's
one
not
who's
your show.
answering
We're
questions.
here for an engagement. If it's your show, we're going to walk out.
Don't threaten because you don't
I'm
have
not threatening
facts.
you. That's a fact.
You are threatening. The issue. You don't have issues. You are threatening. You ran out of issues.
Mr.
Hey, but now you ran out of issues.
Okay.
Now you want to go. The door is open. If you're exhausted your issues, you can go.
Mr. Malema.
You don't know what deflection means. We're still on VBS.
Mr. Malema.
Challenging, making sure that no one is suppressed, making sure that whether you are a lawyer and a judge and you are basically attacking him or you are challenging his viewpoint, he stands firm, knowing that it is his vision and mission that guides him. It is his vision and mission that leads him. That's what a leader is, and that's what a leader does.
So please, if you are going to be a legal representative, you are going to have to reduce yourself from this case as an individual. Remove your emotions and deal with me as a professional. Because if you are going to come to me as a personal person, individually, I will no longer look at you as a professional. I will decisively deal with you as an individual. I've litigated with AfriForum and Roots before, and they've never brought someone so weak as you. I think they've done the worst disservice to themselves.
Put him in a room with the Chamber of Commerce, with economists, qualified chartered accountants, and he'd still come out believing in what he believes in.
We do not agree. We have this problem. We have this problem we're having today of an inequality which is growing, which is racially based because of the economy which is in the hands of capital. The economy is not in the hands of the state as we speak now. It's in your hands. You are the ones who are owning strategic sectors of the economy. And therefore, if anything that is in the hands of private sector is so excellent and successful, why is Africa not successful? Because the economy of Africa is not in the hands of socialist state or communist state. It's private owned.
He's someone who rationalizes, thinks logically, and hence the EFF is always of the notion that it's about superior logic at the end of the day. And that's why, as a leader, for you to have followers, you need to lead by example. You need to make sure that when it comes to issues of protecting your people, you are there. You will fix things in the background, but when the camera lights are on, you protect those people. That's what a leader does. And that's what I love most about Julius Malema. A leader remains resilient. A leader knows his story. A leader moves forward. A leader doesn't back down. A leader takes people with him.
We have not done well with regard to minority groups in the country, and we are an unracial youth organization. We have a responsibility to have a program that is targeting at attracting minorities. And perhaps we are not speaking their relevant language to attract them more.
And a leader knows what the future holds because a leader thinks of a legacy. He thinks forward. He doesn't think of the now. And he knows that through legacy building, his kids shall benefit. And that's what a leader does, and that's how a leader thinks. Lesson number 5. Know thyself, be self-aware. When I was in high school, our blazer badge or the school logo basically had a saying underpinning everything that the school represented. And the saying was in French. It said, "Knosse te ipsam," meaning know thyself. Knowing yourself is a key principle that will take you far. Knowing yourself means knowing where you come from so that you can basically accept where you are going, so that you can have an understanding of where you are headed. Knowing yourself means not changing like a chameleon, rather adapting to every situation so that it is suited in your favor. If you are like me and you watched the entire court case between the EFF and AfriForum with Julius Malema being the third person involved in it, then you will realize that on day one, when he was a witness on the stand, the first 2.5 hours of his interrogation, if I may call it that, was basically focused on the EFF's manifesto and what the EFF actually stand for. Malema was able to regurgitate, give context, and explain exactly who he is, exactly who the EFF is or are, and what they represent and what they stand for. He made no utterances that were contrary to past developments or actually what the manifesto says. I've skimmed through the manifesto, and indeed the key components, those 7 pillars that he speaks of and focuses on, and what the pillar and what the EFF actually stand upon and thrive upon are consistent. And that's because the EFF and its members should know themselves fully, and they have shown and demonstrated that. They have immersed themselves in every battle, in every situation, in every challenge, and in every obstacle, and they've come at top some of the time, right? But they know who they are, who they represent, and Julius made it clear to that lawyer Oppenheimer that it won't change, not now, not anytime soon, because the fundamentals are the founding rules, founding manifesto, founding principles that guide the party moving forward. Knowing yourself means that you don't get shaped by the bottle that you are put in or the box that you are put in. You are not as fluid as water is. You are rigid. You are rock. You stand for what you believe in, and you move forward based on what you believe in. On this channel, I believe that I can empower people through the use of icons and legends. I can use myself, my own mind, to empower and enable people to think differently and apply their minds differently. Our visions are different. Where we are headed is different. But when you know yourself, then very little that is external can shape who you are. Sometimes you don't have control over certain things, and knowing yourself means the ability to discern that specific thing. You'll be able to take yourself serious enough to know that I can't control A, B, and C. Let me focus on the things that I can control. Knowing yourself means being self-aware, knowing your identity, and living by that identity, shaping and molding the next generation so that they don't forget their roots and they don't forget where they come from. The duty is upon you. Know yourself, express yourself, and don't limit yourself, so that as you move forward, you are able to bring about a positive reflection of self to the next person. And that next person is able to adapt the very same lessons and principles that you share for their benefit as well. So know yourself. Nose te ipsa. As a bonus lesson, I basically want you guys to remember that Julius Malema once upon a time was considered to be down and out. How the story has changed. So be resilient. No matter the situation that you face, there's no challenge that's big enough that you can't get back on your feet, start chasing your vision again, start heading towards your goal again, and eventually you shall win. Be resilient, no matter the situation.
I want to see the children of the poor flourishing. Why? Because I come from there. I'm a child of a domestic worker. My mother suffered epilepsy. She couldn't do anything for me. People identified me, gave me an opportunity, and they said, there's a potential in this young man. I don't have anything, I have nothing to offer. I can't build a school. But with this leadership and you, we can realize a dream of changing a life of the hopeless masses of our people. We stayed in a shack. We slept without food. When she came out of a bus, my mother had a scar here. She burned when she was working for whites in the domestic there in town there. When she comes out of a bus, I used to run to her because I had hoped she came back with some leftovers. And the white man wants to tell me how to live my life and tell me that I don't know what poverty does to people. I know what poverty does to people. That's why we must help our people. And we don't care how many people we must help, whether it's one, whether it's two. I know it's possible we can change their lives. My life changed because someone else said we can change the life of this young man. I went to my township there. I said to my principal, I want 3 kids who come from the shacks, and I don't want them to come from proper shacks, you know, the shacks with a proper MacG. I want the ones that, you know, the rain, when it rains, it goes through. I want them to be pilots. And then we searched for them. The EFF Legacy Project showed you here. We took them to become pilots from shacks. And I said to them, I don't want you to join the EFF or vote for the EFF. If you do that, you can do that on your own. But I want you, when you become pilots, to finance other pilots who come from the same background that you come from. So I don't understand why Vodacom can't build a school. I mean, they are monopolizing the network and the data, Comrade Kiro. I don't understand why MTN can't build a school strictly for the most poor people, for the people that are hopeless, and they were told by their teachers, you are nothing else. You are going to end here. Like those who came before you in your family, you are not going anywhere. This is your end. Those are the people we must go and identify and help them. I tell you my history not because I want you to pity me. I don't want any favor from anyone. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. This story I'm telling you is not my story alone. It is our story, all of us in this hall. It's a story of a black child. We've all gone through that. So it shouldn't be easy to align with people who want to destroy a black child if you know where black children come from.
For those that are wondering why my case study may seem a bit biased and one-sided, is because when I was going through all the videos here on YouTube about Julius Malema, the majority of them, not all, but the majority of them are against Julius Malema. It's Julius Malema being interrogated. It's Julius Malema's principles being questioned. It's Julius Malema's IQ being questioned. It's Julius Malema's EQ being questioned. And I felt that this positive aspect that we can draw from him really needs to be shared. It needs to be put out there. And if nobody else is willing to do it, then it starts with you. Network with Less will be the party that makes it happen. So that's why, if you want to create a different narrative to what I've shared, then create your own case study, talk about the individuals that I talk about, and have a positive or negative situation or a neutral outlook based on what you have to offer. But on this platform, we spread positivity, we spread the good principles, and we spread what others can learn from our experience and what we actually share, because I actually draw inspiration also from the comments that I receive on the channel. Negative comments, unfortunately, I remove, and negative persons I actually block. So I don't have time for such nonsense. My mental health is very important to me. You're welcome. And I actually encourage you to binge watch some of my videos. There's super videos that are still coming on this channel, and one of them involves my body transformation. Check out the bicep. And for now, however, you can watch these 2 recommended videos. Enjoy. Enjoy.